Your needs, wants, and desires are important. But do you ever feel invisible? Like you're overlooked or what you have to say does not matter? Like even when you're trying your best to give and contribute, you don't get the recognition you deserve? In fact, the more time and effort you invest in pleasing others, the more likely you are to be taken for granted. What if I told you some subtle yet powerful psychological techniques can elevate you from being an option to a priority? Stay with us till the end, and I promise application of any of these techniques, even just one, will make a difference in your life. Now, let's begin. One. Stop being always available. Your time is your life. That's why the greatest gift you can give someone is your time. The more you are available, the more likely you are to be taken for granted. By being less accessible, you create a sense of scarcity, and people often associate scarcity with value. That makes people value the time they have with you more. Of course, this doesn't mean that you should only be available when it's convenient for you, but if you're always the one who is flexible and accommodating, it's time to start putting yourself first. By doing this, you're sending the message that you have a life outside of them, and that you are not just waiting around for them. And when people have to wait or make an effort to engage with you, the anticipation and effort required can enhance the overall perceived value of the interaction. In organizational psychology, there's a concept known as the scarcity principle of power. It suggests that those who control access to important resources, including their time and attention, are often perceived as more powerful and influential. By limiting your availability, you position yourself as someone with valuable resources. 2. Being slightly mysterious. In general, there's an inherent attraction to things that carry an air of mystery. The fascination with the unknown holds considerable sway, particularly in fostering deeper connections in relationships. Introducing an element of mystery can be advantageous. To position yourself as a priority in someone's life, consider refraining from revealing every detail about yourself right away. Instead, offer subtle glimpses into your hobbies and interests without divulging exhaustive information. When questioned, keep your responses a bit mysterious and avoid going into too much detail about your past. The objective is to maintain an air of intrigue, leaving the other person curious and eager to uncover more layers of who you are. Humans are naturally curious beings. When you leave some aspects of your life undisclosed, you tap into this curiosity, generating intrigue. This curiosity can lead others to seek more information about you, enhancing the perception of your importance. When you do reveal specific details or achievements eventually and selectively, others may feel privileged to be among the few who have access to that information, enhancing the perceived importance of your life. Over time, this strategy is likely to result in them recognizing you as a significant priority in their life. 3. Creating the fear of losing you. Loss aversion. Psychological phenomenon suggests that people often care more about avoiding losses than they do about acquiring equivalent gains. In other words, the negative impact of losing is typically felt more strongly than the positive impact of gaining. To make your value more visible, consider establishing emotional distance, showcasing your independence and readiness to walk away. Be discerning with your availability, expand your social circle, and diversify your focus. This approach conveys that others are not as central to your priorities, suggesting they could risk losing your presence unless they actively contribute to maintaining the connection. It's important to note that while the fear of losing can create a sense of importance, it's crucial to strike a balance. Authenticity and genuine connections are essential for building meaningful relationships. Using the fear of losing as a strategic element should be done with consideration and respect for others' feelings and well-being. 4. Let them invest in you. Here's the question: who do you think is more likely to treat you as a top priority? Someone who has invested a lot in you, or someone who hasn't? The answer is pretty clear. If you want others to see you as a real priority, it's time to let them invest in you. Effort justification, or sunk cost fallacy, suggests that people tend to value more the things or people for which they have invested time, effort, or resources. The idea is that the more effort one puts into obtaining or achieving something, the more value they assign to it to justify the investment. Now, how can you do that? You can let them invest their time in you by politely turning down plans you can't commit to, or spice things up by not always being instantly available. Make them wait a bit, sending the message that you're not just anyone and they might need to up their game. Turn it into a bit of a challenge. If they want your time and attention, make them work for it. You'll become a tantalizing puzzle, and they'll naturally start seeing you as a true priority. 5. Stop initiating conversation all the time. If you're consistently the one reaching out to someone in your life, it might be worth considering a change. While it might seem counterintuitive to step back, especially if you're aiming to be a priority in their life, there's a reason behind it. The truth is, yes, you can be the one initiating communication, but not always. When you're constantly taking the lead, the other person might start to take your efforts for granted. They get accustomed to you always reaching out, which can inadvertently make them perceive you as less important. So, what's the alternative? It's simple. Stop initiating communication and observe what unfolds. If the person genuinely values you and cares about your connection, they will likely make an effort to reach out to you. This shift allows you to gauge the reciprocity in the relationship and helps avoid the perception of being taken for granted. 6. Prioritize yourself and your needs. You are just as important as everybody else. However, it's common for many of us to act as though our significance is minimal or even non-existent. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. Don't sacrifice yourself too much, because if you sacrifice too much, there's nothing else you can give, and nobody will care for you. Prioritizing yourself is not a selfish endeavor, but rather a strategic approach to foster a reciprocal relationship, one where you can be better equipped to meet others' expectations and, in turn, encourage others to treat you as a priority. Those who genuinely want to prioritize you will enter your domain, while others can find their place elsewhere. 7. Refrain from being too tolerant. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Warren Buffett. If you find yourself always accommodating, saying yes without discernment, there's a risk of being taken for granted. Excessive tolerance might inadvertently signal that your boundaries are negotiable, potentially diminishing the respect others have for your contributions. Saying no is more than a refusal. It's an assertion of your boundaries and a declaration of self-worth. In the context of relationships, the art of saying no communicates that your time, energy, and commitments are valuable and deserve thoughtful consideration. To be taken seriously and considered a priority, saying no strategically is a means of prioritizing your needs, goals, and well-being. It prompts others to recognize that your time and commitments are intentional, making them more likely to value your presence in their lives. Now, armed with these potent techniques, it's time to integrate them into your daily lives. Exercise caution in their application to prevent unintended consequences. We anticipate the recognition of your value and the enhancement of how others perceive and respect you. Thank you for watching. If you found value in today's journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow seekers of a meaningful life.